I don't even understand. I'm just gonna keep on hitting it. Did I fail? I don't understand. Okay, please reteach me that. Bro, I don't know how to do this, please. I don't understand. Okay. Okay, I know how to do it now. Now I know how to do it. It was easy, see? Well, when you know to do stuff, things go from hard to immensely easy. I got you, homie. Anyway, guys, once we either do this, I'll basically roll for Farina, and here's how it goes. Once I actually get Farina, then I'll get all her essential materials. I won't actually get her yet. And if I'm unlucky and I don't get her, then that means I could just wait to 4.6, which is that by that I should have already grinded all the materials and primos I would need. So basically, if I could get C2 Farina, then I'll basically start doing. Look for Lily. Yeah, basically, if I get C2 Farina, C3, I'll go for Nouvellette. But if I don't get Farina at all, or I get very lucky with my Farina pulls, say I only get C1 or C2 and not past the C3 mark, then that means I still pull for Farina when she comes back.
Breaking the box underneath me, for God's sake. Okay. Did you hear me? Keep it up. What the hell are these names? 2030 is not a break.
In Fashion Dreamer, I can live my life as an influencer with a never-ending customizable wardrobe. I can dress and style in any way I want. I can share my style with others and help them find a new look that they'll love. Fashion Dreamer, out now on Nintendo Switch.
I don't know what the Genshin team is on recently, but Fontaine has been nothing but peak. You have an amazing story, real cat girls, and a bratty Archon who you can't help but love, regardless of how much you want to punch her smug little face. And to be honest, it's gonna be hard to not like her going forward, because she's the best damn character in Genshin Impact. I know I make a lot of cringe jokes, but while Farina is cringe, in no way is this a joke. She is absolutely a game changer, and if you want to never have to think when you play this game again, watch this video, pull her, build her, and invest in Shanlei. If you enjoy these types of videos, make sure to like this video, and subscribe to the channel for more Scuffed videos. My name is Braxbone, and let's talk about Farina. But instead we just got schizophrenia. If you look at it,
Why did it do twice?
don't bother reading unless you want the very, very specific details, and just let me explain everything. The whole Numa and Osha mechanic is just a spicy way of saying you need to buy new characters because your other ones are too old. But if you get Farina, you don't need any more Fontaine characters. Ever. She's the only one you need and will ever pay attention to again. She has a bit of everything in her kit, including both Numa and Osha, and I still have no idea what either of them do or how to cast them. By using her charged attack, she can switch between the two, and her normal attacks are just Farina normal attacks.
I just got deeper in.
When you use her elemental skill in Osha form, she summons a bubbly seahorse, a pretty crab, and Usher. These three summons all attack on their own, similar to Fischl's Oz. In fact, at this point, I'm pretty sure Fischl was just a beta test for Farina's kit personality. All of Farina's summons have different attack speeds and thus apply Hydro differently, and all of them scale on her HP. They also move around on their own to attack enemies, so they're fairly inconsistent, and each one will have a different attack too. With the Pretty Crab, you get slow attacks with a big AoE. With Dante, you get faster single target attacks, and with Usher, you get a bit of everything. Something to keep in mind is that her Osha summons also dish out a ton of damage. You can see higher damage in total than Yolan's, especially considering opportunities for AoE. This is mostly because you get a damage bonus when your character is above 50% HP, and the bonus is multiplicative based on the amount of units that fulfill that requirement. While they're out, they will all slowly drain your HP, adding up to roughly 50% of your whole party's HP throughout the skill. Over the 30 seconds of her elemental skill, you can expect 6 to 7 elemental particles to be generated by all the little guys. Now, on the other side of things, her Numa skill is useless. Unless you're like a giga casual, overworld only, get home from school or a day at work and sit down at your PS5 for an hour with a bag of chips and repeat 5 days a week doesn't consume YouTube guide content type player, in which case even Numa is kind of nice. Numa summons a little Oceanid that heals your active character over time. Now the problem is that you lose your damage and particle generation in the Numa state, and the heals only work on your active character, so even though the number is high, it's not really worth giving up all of those other things just for a subpar healer. It's one of those things you can do, but if you do it, you hate damage, and I'm writing a twit longer about you. And lastly, for her skill, Genshin Impact finally decided to just straight up power creep Kokomi, and Jesus Christ is now canon in Genshin Impact. What really sets Farina apart isn't her being the first character with a personality in Genshin Impact, or the fact that she's the key to crushing all content in Fontaine, but the fact that her burst is just so damn strong. It's called Let the People Rejoice, which is fitting because the entire Genshin community is going to be talking about this character for the rest of eternity. When she activates it, she deals damage based on her max HP and gives your team absolutely absurd bonuses. During the 18 seconds that it's active, you gain fanfare based on percentage HP gain and loss. It's pretty easy to get high fanfare stacks, and at talent level 10, you can get up to a maximum of 75% damage bonus with max fanfare stacks at C0. For context, someone's high investment Kazuha may give you around 40% elemental damage bonus based on element swirl. And Farina's buff is dynamic and team-wide all damage bonus, meaning that your off-field characters that would normally snapshot, like Xiangling, Fischl, Albedo, and can get that damage bonus. Do you know how many fanfare stacks you have? Well, you'll just have to guess because for some reason we don't have a buff counter in this game. But you do have these little guys that'll show up on the corner of your screen as you get more stacks. Now, with that said, you won't have max stacks the entire time, and in some games you may even struggle to get max stacks. But considering how much skill drains your team's HP, even an average player will be able to get a lot of that buff up during most of its uses in the right teams and setups. It also increases incoming healing, which can get you extra stacks and fanfare. I'll talk about how to take advantage of this the most in my team section, but this kit section is like way too long and I want to move on. Her first has a 15-second cooldown and costs 60 energy, and as one of the strongest abilities in the game, you'll aim to use it as often as you can, usually once every 15 to 24 seconds, depending on the rotation of your team. With Farina's burst back, any healing that's over your active character's HP cap triggers Farina to give a tiny bit of healing to your party members. It's honestly not a ton, but it is a nice quality of life thing, especially for something like Ripped Wolves. Her second passive is just more skill damage and healing based off her max HP, which is pretty good. Farina is one of the strongest supports we've seen since Yelan, Kazuha, and the best way I can describe her is that she's a unit that works with every older meta team, but also enables every newer meta team. Farina can also enable Marachasi Hunter on every character, meaning that if you have her, you only need to farm 1 or 2 artifact sets for all of your DPS characters going forward. She also doesn't require basic attacks for Hydra application, which is pretty close to Yelan's, of course with the exception of some RNG from her summons, and she also summons Usher. She also trivializes Fontaine's main mechanic, Numa and Uja, by having access to both. I'll go more in depth in the team section, but in my opinion, you should absolutely pick up Farina. Whether you're a new player or an old player, this character is a game changer and friendly to casual and hardcore players. After you pick her up, make sure to level her skill and burst. You can leave her basic attacks, but both her skill and burst are super valuable, to the point where you may even want to crown her burst.
22.
Builds are honestly kind of boring and the same these days, but Farina, as usual, is changing the game and serving for us. For the first time in a long time, we have a character that isn't the same build as every other character in the game. We've seen changes to Sans, pieces, HP, attack percent, energy recharge, defense, elemental mastery, but it's rare when other stats change. But Farina isn't like the other builds. We have a lot of new characters that want to use the Marachasi Hunter set, and so far Golden Troop has been without a perfect pairing. But now that Farina is out of jail, well, actually, I guess that depends. Golden Troop finally has its user. It gets a huge skill damage bonus on the 2-piece, and on the 4-piece, actually, do you want to take a guess? And if there's anything for Vince, Krabs, Dante, and Usher to deal more damage. I hope you're ready for retirement, because now that you have Farina, you're never leaving this place. Never again. You can also mix 2 pieces of skill damage, hydro damage, and HP percent, or go for Tenacity of the Millilith if you're still living in 2021. But 4 pieces of Golden Troop are going to be the best option for it. For main stats, you're going to want Energy Recharge or HP Sands, an HP or Hydro damage Goblet, and a Crit Circlet. Because Farina's burst is so strong, you don't want to run into energy issues with her, and what that means is that you'll need to have a high enough ER stat to burst almost on cooldown. To be safe in solo Hydro Farina scenarios, you'll want between 200 and 220% energy recharge, but with another Hydro character, I'd recommend going for close to 150%. And if you play Favonius weapons on your other characters, ER requirements can go even lower. If you want to look at specifics, here's a table showing some different scenarios for energy requirements. Basically, if you run double Hydro, you can usually skip ER Sands or skip ER Weapon, but in solo Hydro, you'll likely need both. As for her Goblet, the reason you'll likely go with HP is 1, Farina has so much damage bonus from her kit and Golden Troop that HP can actually scale a bit better due to diminishing returns, and 2, the odds of getting an HP main stat Goblet with better substats are much higher than running a Hydro Goblet. For Circlet, try to get a balanced 1 to 2 ratio of crit rate to crit damage. Then for substats, prioritize ER as needed, and then go for crit and HP. I farmed for this algorithm, and I've forgotten what year it is and how to spell my own name, but here's what a finalized build looks like. Stats can always be improved, but this is the right set and main stats. You fought hard preparing for the ultimate battle to face the end. Welcome to my very normal section to be very normal. There's nothing weird about it at all. You might think that Farina's signature weapon is her best weapon, and you're right on paper. But personally, I don't recommend rolling for it unless you have money to burn. Specifically because the banner it's on has a 50% chance after the 75-25 to just not give you a 5-star weapon. It does have the coolest animation in the game, though. Look at that drip. Get it? Because it's water. The weapon is it's made of water. It's a crit main stat weapon that gives damage bonus and HP, and it's honestly amazing, but do keep in mind that ER is still important. I do account reviews on my Twitch sometimes, and I've seen players run Yalan with her signature bow with nowhere near enough energy recharge to get her burst up regularly, so overall they end up losing damage and not being able to actually burst with that shiny weapon they have. That effect isn't as big of a deal on Farina since her skill is already strong on its own, but I still recommend that you make sure you have enough ER to burst with her regularly. With this weapon, you may find that you need an ER stance for her. Her next best option is Jade Cutter, which gives HP and crit rate. I don't really know what else.
Anyway, guys, let's go farther into the story even.
If you're a veteran player, Festering Desire at R5
But I did say I was going to be quiet so you could watch.
for the skill damage, crit rate on skill, and ER main stat. You can also play her with Key, but literally 2 has that weapon. It's so ugly. If you don't have any 5 stars or Festering Desire, you can give your Bourgeoisie Archon the pipe or the Battle Pass sword. If you have the Dockhand's assistant for some reason, that's also okay. And if you don't have any of these available, you can use Harbinger of Dawn, but I wouldn't recommend it since it's hard to keep the passive up the whole time unless you're in specific teams. I definitely recommend fishing for the pipe for her if you're free to play. So here's a weapon comparison. As usual, take these things with a grain of salt since they can depend on the team you're in, but it should give you a general idea of her best weapons. Oh, also if you're wondering, you can use Sacrificial Sword for the ER stat, but because she doesn't generate any particles on the actual cast of her skill, it's not really worth it. If you're doing that, you might as well run Pavonia's Sword, which is also really good on her. Farina has some of the most teams available to her of any character in the game. Similar to other Hydro characters that are top tier, like Yalan and Xingqiu, she can be slotted into most teams and it's an upgrade. But the thing that she has over them is that she also has some extra supporting capabilities.
Okay, guys, we're seeing into like Tartaglia's backstory there.
I'm not going to fit all of them into this video. I'm going to try to speedrun this and go as fast as possible, but please bear with me. First off, here are some supports that she works extremely well with. The thing is, you get a ton more fanfare stacks when you have AoE healing on your team, as opposed to just active character healing, because the more characters that are getting a percentage increase in their HP, the more fanfare stacks you're going to be able to get on burst. And for this reason, Farina is a massive buff to Jean. Jean is a character that has always been pretty good, but she was overshadowed by other Animo characters because we could find a healer in another category. You can use something like Cosmo, who gives you a big damage bonus on top of the Viridescent Shred. But now the damage bonus you get from Farina is going to be a little bit more significant, and you can still have that defense shred with Jean. Jean has basically received a massive upgrade with the release of Farina, and then other characters that have full team healing, that's going to be Kokomi in Reverse, that's going to be Barbara's Burst, it's going to be Chi-Chi as well. These characters all can help you get fanfare stacks more quickly. I'm not saying you have to play with these characters, but in general, healers got buffed, and full team healers got buffed even more. So as I mentioned, she has a ton of teams, and you can basically use her in old or new stuff. So let's start with the old. If you look at National Team, you can actually run Farina instead of your Viridescent Shredder. Now, the reason I still am running Xingqiu here is because Xiangling applies so much Pyro that in order to get all of our hits to vape still, Farina may not be consistent enough. Her elemental skill kind of has random targeting, and that can make it a little bit difficult to get consistent Hydro application. Like I said, this is sort of like Yalan, if Yalan had a little bit of RNG to whether or not she's actually going to apply Hydro. But because her damage bonus applies to the whole party and it's dynamic, even characters that snapshot like Xiangling can get the damage buff, and Xiangling and Xingqiu can both take advantage of it, and Farina's also going to be taking advantage of it as well. So you can replace Xingqiu if you want to with Farina, but this team benefits a lot from having all of them. So, do that information what you will. So you can replace Xingqiu if you want to in this team, and that's totally fine, but I've preferred playing this version, especially because Xingqiu will help battery Farina a little bit. So another team you can run is going to be Hyperbloom, obviously. Farina's going to apply a lot of Hydro. Kuki and Yao Yao are both healers that can get you more fanfare stacks. Now, you don't have to use both of them. You can use a different Dendro instead. I just chose Yao Yao because we already have a 5-star here and another 5-star here, and I just wanted to have some 4-star options. But like, for example, Nahita's also fine here. I'll hate them, Kuki. And honestly, if you wanted to, you could play Sino here. Now, Baiju, Farina, and Sino are all kind of like a perfect combination for each other. Farina's such solid uptime, and Sino in a quick team can be very, very effective. Not to mention that if you wanted to go Nahita instead of Beto, this is actually super strong because all of these characters can sort of use Sino's restoration. Moving on, this one is a certified classic. This is going to be Taser official. Super good, the whole deal. You want to replace Beto with another character like Yalan or Xingqiu, and that's totally fine. But as you can see, she can be slotted into all these teams and still be extremely effective. Now, this next Charlotte here instead of Mika, and that's actually pretty good. I find Mika to actually be a pretty okay combo for Yulon, but some and you probably have heard of triple hydro now that Farina's out. But have you heard of quadruple hydro? Or I guess this would just be mono hydro. Kokomi has AoE healing. You're not gonna have any battery issues with this team. The amount of damage you get Kokomi's on-field damage is gonna be pretty good for Farina's
Guys, I hope you just don't mind about that. And guys, that's where I'm going to end the video. Don't worry, I'll do some more offline grinding. But the offline grinding is going to be so great. I hope you don't get angry at me. So bye.